Welcome to the Local Shops 1 Lowdown, where we catch up and sit down with Tampa Bay area business owners. My name is Pat Largo, and thank you for joining us. Today, we're going to get the lowdown with Jo-Anne Peck. Finally, I get to talk to this creative young lady. Jo-Anne Peck is the co-owner and creator of Historic Shed in beautiful Brooksville, Florida. Jo-Anne, thanks for joining me.
Thank you very much.
I always like to start out with this, with all the craziness going on. And businesses being affected, though. How are you and your family doing in this whole crazy time we're living in right now?
Well, how much of an answer do you want on that?
You lay it on me. I want you to get the poison out.
So we moved. So from a personal standpoint, we moved in March. We sold our old house on March 13th and closed on the new one by March 19th. And between that time, we went from everything open to everything closed within that week, and total chaos. And then moving into a 1911 house that needs a whole lot of work. It's kept us busy, and it keeps you from focusing on all the other things that you don't want to deal with. But yeah, no, we're all fine, but just in a whole different world, you know, on so many levels, not just with the pandemic and everything. So the nice thing is I can now work out of the house, which is now only 5 minutes from our shop. We used to be 30 minutes each day, you know, drive in towards the sun each morning, drive home each evening into the sun, 30 minutes each way. So we freed up that time, and it's all good.
Wow, well, that's good to know. Now, the new place, the new crib is also in Brooksville?
Yes.
Okay.
Right in downtown.
And you mentioned 1911 home. Wow. What was the fascination? Because I know you're creative. We're going to get into all this here shortly. But what was the fascination, or like, wow, this is a 1911 home. I like this.
Well, my background is in historic preservation. I have an undergraduate degree in architecture, and then I went on and got a master's in historic preservation.
Wow.
We'd always had a historic house. We lived in West Palm, and we bought another one in Hyde Park in Tampa. And then when we decided to settle in Hernando County, we wanted to live on the water, and there was nothing historic that was available that would work for us at the time. So I lived for the last, 14 years in a house built in 1989. And we did a whole lot of things, adding character in and stuff, but we've always wanted to get back into a historic house, into a historic downtown. I live across the street from the library, 2 doors down from City Hall. I can walk to restaurants, all the things that I've been missing all this time. I don't have dolphins in my backyard anymore, but I have other things and you know, it's a nice, quaint town with a lot of potential, meeting a lot of nice people, and you know, it's close to our business. So
that's awesome. And the way things are going on this year in 2020, you may look out your back door and see dolphins one day for no good reason. It's crazy. Well, I'm going to put you on the spot. Name one thing that happened in 1911. Can you do it?
This house was built.
Ah, perfect. That was almost a borderline trick question. That's awesome. And when people say that, it just takes me back to, can you imagine being in Florida in July and August, and there's no air conditioning? I mean, you know, the pre-AC days. Can you just imagine? Oh, it's like just living in a tent. I mean, it's just crazy. Now, I will tell you how I don't consider myself dumb, but when you mention all the degrees you have, and I've seen you in person and speak and do seminars and stuff, I feel like a 5-year-old. So I'm probably going to talk slow just for my benefit today. But I love watching you do what you do. You mentioned your background of what got you into historical preservation and being an architect and stuff like that. Were you a little girl and said, hey, I want to do this? How did that come about?
I had no idea. You know, go to high school, I did well in science, I did well in art. I didn't even really know what architecture was specifically, what the process was, but I thought, okay, well, what am I going to do when I go to college? I went, and so I just was like, architecture combines art and it combines science. It's all those things, math that I like and I'm good at. And then I went to architecture school and got an A my first semester, B the second semester in design, C the next semester, D the next one, and then I actually am an architecture school sort of dropout. I ended up not getting the professional architecture degree. I'm a very hands-on, nuts and bolts kind of person, and architecture school is very ambiguous. I mean, they had us do all these things that I just couldn't wrap my head around, things like design aleatory space, which I didn't even know what it was. It was basically a space without any purpose. And I'm not
that's called my life.
It was just things that I couldn't really, it just didn't work with my practical brain quite right. So I ended up getting the building science degree instead. And then, of course, we were in a recession back then, nothing like, you know, we've had in the last couple recessions. But yeah. So I ended up going to graduate school. And I picked Savannah College of Art and Design and historic preservation, not really knowing what that was either, but that's where I found my passion. I absolutely loved everything about it. I learned to look at the world a different way. I learned to look at history through the built environment. I realized how many things it impacts, positive, how the greatest spaces and places that people always want to go to are usually historic spaces, you know, just like wanting to be in a historic downtown now. And ever since then, that's been my focus. You know, I've done projects in Ybor City, I've done projects in Miami, I've done projects pretty much all over the state of Florida, and now we build sheds.
Wow. Well,
but it still makes sense.
Yeah, I'm going to show some of these soon here, and they're not just sheds, because I know you do way more than that. So then fast forward it, you found your passion finally, right? You're very young, you find it, you're loving this stuff. What brought along historic shed, and like what's the background with that business that got you into that avenue?
So around, I think it was 1999, two things happened. I started out part-time in my own company, and I got my dream job, which was moving and restoring 30, at the time, the original contract, I think, was 35 historic buildings in Ybor City.
Wow.
And then the other was I also met my husband, who is also somebody who's very involved. He grew up in Salem, Massachusetts. He didn't have to go to school to learn about historic preservation because basically you lived it everywhere there.
Sure. And
he'd been a contractor. He'd worked on buildings from the 1700s and the like. And so he was a natural fit. We got that job in Ybor. Ended up moving 64 historic buildings in the end out of the way of the highway. It was a Department of Transportation project. They got new foundations, you know, and I just really, I learned as much as I brought to the table in that as we went. And it was, I'd like to think a very, very successful project. Part of that, strangely enough, was preservation wanted us to design garages and sheds and a couple of accessory dwellings that would make sense to go with these buildings that were moved, because they kept having people come in with, oh, I found this shed at Home Depot and I want to put it in my backyard. And because historic districts have design guidelines, these sheds didn't look like the historic buildings. They didn't consider them acceptable. And so they wanted to give samples of what people should be building. So we did those, and it kind of triggered something, because we just realized there is no one that just offers compatible sheds, garages, home offices, anything that you put in your backyard for people that are in historic districts. You have to go hire an architect to get a design, then you hire a contractor to quote it, and then still have it built and go through the design process and, you know, preservation review, all these things. And we realized that it was perfect for us to just start this one-stop process. We offered everything from initial design. We go up in front of the architectural review commissions, and then we build it and install it in your yard. So it's kind of grown from there, but that's where it started from, the whole idea.
Wow. So, and so real quick, so how many years has Historic Shed been around then, the actual business?
2008. So
okay.
12 years.
12 years. Wow. And I recall visiting you. It may have been 2008 or early 2009, the inception, because Esther from Local Shops 1, who created all that we're doing here, sent me out there to Brooksville because I live in Pasco County. And I recall, I got to get back to your place now and see all the stuff, because that was the beginning way back then.
Oh,
So,
yeah. Yeah, we started about the same time as Local Shops 1.
Yeah, yeah. Well, now talking about some of that stuff, let me see if I don't want to screw this up here. Let me go like this for a second. Here we go. And I know you can see this, and I want the folks to see this. I'm just going to kind of go through a couple of pictures, and you can, like you mentioned about, these are the things you build right here, right? Correct?
Mm-hmm.
Now this is just, now these are all sheds, but you do like also garages and other stuff like that?
Yeah, we really thought we'd just be doing sheds.
Wow.
And then people would come up. This one's an artist studio. We do a lot of home offices, and accessory dwellings are also very popular. You know, the carriage house, garage apartment kind of thing.
Okay.
You know, there's so many things you can put in a little building. And if they're cute and they enhance your backyard, all the better.
This right here, I can picture in the back. This reminds me of kind of like what we did the last couple of years, the Tiny Home Festival that Esther runs. This right here this is a home. What'd you say? This is like a little studio?
It's an artist studio.
An artist. Look at this with the chair. This is great. Let's do this now. Okay, that's cool. I just love the foliage. This is just now also a shed?
Yes. Yeah,
Okay.
That's one of the first ones we did.
Wow.
Very early on.
I love the little, like I call it a barn door, but I like the doors.
Yeah, that one is in, where was that? Safety Harbor?
Oh, really?
Further south, but yeah, we go all over. We try to stay within about a 75-mile radius, and this was about at the lower tip of where we were willing to go.
Wow, okay. Yeah, Safety Harbor has a great little downtown too. Look at this.
Yeah, so that's really the creme de la creme of the things we offer.
Wow.
It's a 1-bedroom, 1-bath apartment on the second floor, garage on the first floor, and it's been a vacation rental by owner. So it's, you know, adds income for people.
Sure.
And it looks pretty good in their backyard.
It's great. I love the creamsicle color. It's so it's very Florida. I love the orange with the white. It's great. What we got here? Look at this.
Yes. So that one is in a really, really special place in Brandon, of all places, for a historic property owned by settled by the Mosleys back in the 1890s. And she needed a place to keep, the woman who owned it had all of her great-grandparents, or maybe it was grandparents' letters from when they settled there in the 1890s.
Wow.
For archives. And so she had this building built with air conditioning and the like to be able to use it for the archives and all their important papers.
Wow. I just, the history behind it all, that's what makes it so, that just makes it even more fun. Let me see if I can skip. Oh, look at that. I just had to choose this one. I just love, this is Florida to me. I love this.
Yeah, that is our snack shack.
Yeah.
It's a combination pub and storage shed.
Wow. So okay, so you built this for someone?
Yes.
Okay, now, is that what they said? Because this is up my alley. That's why I just happened to click on it. If I could just have a happy hour in my backyard or somewhere where, like, you know, I don't have to hang out with many people. I love this. So did the people who want this, did they say, I want a snack shack kind of thing with some chairs, you know, I could have like a little, like a bar looking scene. Can you build that for me? And that's what you did.
Yes.
Wow.
The exact scenario. People do that all the time. We do so many custom things.
Okay.
I've had people want to do, let's see, beer brewing, game rooms, pool houses. This one's one of my absolute favorites. It just came out. I love the colors. I wouldn't have ever thought to pick those colors, but they just work so well. It's so tropical.
Yes.
Everything about that one I'm just pleased with.
And you brought something up, and that also piques my interest because I love this one. But are like a man cave. Do you get like any man cave ideas? Because I think to have something like this, to have a guy go, listen, I love my wife and my family, but I want to go to my game room man cave area and just have some me time for a couple hours. Do you get any requests for that?
Oh yes, we get the man cave, we get the she shed.
The she shed.
Yep. And then we also get my teenager or my adult son got back from college and I don't want them moving back into the house. So can I put them in the backyard? Um, and then we also get a lot of aging parents that they can't be on their own really as
Yeah.
well anymore. Can't, but they don't want to be imposed on their family. So we do a lot of accessory dwellings in the backyard as well for that kind of scenario. You know, mother-in-law suites, basically.
Yeah, you schlep the old people back there. That's good. Now, that's not too shabby right there, you know? I mean, and then you want to scare them too. You want to put like a headstone right behind it and go, that's where you're going. No, you don't do that. That's just a joke.
We try not to put people in just ordinary sheds in the backyard.
We got plenty of time. I just wanted this right here so far. I just love this. And I love how the doors come down. You can lock them like if it's raining, but you got cover here from the sunshine and the rain. I mean, that right there, I would be out there every day, but especially because we live in Florida, I hate July, August, and September, but you give me like October, November through like March, April, and I will be out here and inside every day.
Mm-hmm.
Let me do a couple more. What does this one looks like? Oh, that's adorable.
Yeah, that's an actual accessory dwelling. It's got a full bathroom with a tub, no less. In this particular case, she didn't end up putting a kitchen in, but you have room for a little kitchenette.
Uh-huh.
And this was rental income for a while. And then I believe she ended up putting in a child that was moving back home for a while.
Okay. Wow. And let me just grab one more here. Let me see. Oh, this is sweet.
Yeah. So that's another garage apartment. That's the one car garage, unlike the orange one. And
Wow.
Full bath, full unit upstairs. Again, rentable unit, or it's also perfect, you know, if you have guests,
Okay.
you know, you want company to stay. You like them a lot better when they're not in your house,
Right.
walking around in their underwear. So
Yeah. And they're unmentionables.
yes.
Well, this is cool. Now, before I hit some of your contact info here, what can people, because obviously you're very gregarious, you're very affable. People, I mean, I love talking with you, and I know people will, you know, I mean, your business is legendary in the area and all the stuff you do. But when people come to talk with you, it's always about like, you know, I'm sure they get scared of price and stuff. Like, how do you work with people on, like, if they want something like this, or if they want something like this beautiful thing right here for their folks or their kid, but they go, oh my God, this is probably going to cost me $80,000. How do you like work with people, and like what's maybe some ballpark figures people can work with on money?
Well, so we ran into problems with that early on where people were, you know, kind of tire kickers. So we have all of our sheds and our garages have their pricing on the website.
Oh, cool.
And some of our base pricing. Cottages, you know, the whole tiny house thing, those are always so customized that the best I can do is I usually tell people that we offer two options for actual living spaces. Either we can provide just the building shell and then, and then they can finish out the interior themselves and save money, or we can do the complete project for them.
Wow.
So, and then we just kind of give out a ballpark figure up front per square foot of what they usually hit.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's until you know how many windows, how many doors, you know, what kind of finishes, it's hard to really price those out.
But people are doing it, and it's great. And that's why I'm glad you guys are doing what you're doing. I have your phone number right here. HistoricShed.com is how people can get a hold of you. Also on Facebook, correct, Jo-Anne?
Oh, yes.
All right, so they can look you up, either Jo-Anne Peck, or of course, I know you're also, it's like facebook.com/historicshed, 813-333-2249. That's the best way to get Jo-Anne and the gang at Historic Shed in Brooksville. Will we, hopefully, if everything goes on okay at the end of this year, will we be seeing you at Shopapalooza and or the Tiny Home Festival in Florida?
I will probably shop at Shopapalooza,
Okay.
which I like to do each year.
Okay.
But I won't have a booth, but I will definitely be at the Tiny House Festival, no question.
Good. And I love it because the last couple of years when we did that, I love watching the seminar. I love people when we have a dais, if people don't know, and they can go to the website and see all the tiny home stuff that Esther Venuzio put together. And hopefully we have one here in 2020. But we have all these different daises and all these different just meetings throughout the day, like seminars. And I love the people who love tiny homes. I thought it was just a little thing a couple of years ago, like, oh, it's just a thing. We're going to have some people. No, this is a whole movement. So, but I love when you're on the dais and you're talking about stuff and you get into the specificity of like you said, the architecture and this. I'm like, man, this person knows what she's talking about. Like, it's just really fun to surround yourself with really, really smart people who know what the heck they're doing. So I can't wait to see you there. And are you on buylocaltampabay.com through the LocalShops1 marketplace?
I am. I have placed some architectural plans that people can buy for our products if they want to build them themselves online there. So
Okay, good.
If somebody wanted to build their own garage based on our designs, they could purchase the plans.
Fantastic. So that's another way to get with Jo-Anne Peck and Historic Shed in Brooksville, Florida. And if people are saying, Pat, we heard you talk about it, or what is this LocalShops1 marketplace? Our friend Esther Venuzio, who came from the heavens, who does all stuff local and independent business-wise, created something in mid-March of this year with this whole pandemic thing he started. She goes, hey, you know what? Since stores are closing down or, God forbid, going out of business, I'm going to make buylocaltampabay.com and let those brick and mortar folks sell their merchandise on this website, and I'm not going to take a penny. And she doesn't. So it's this whole thing called the $1 Million Mission. She's trying to get $1 million pumped into the Tampa Bay economy. And if you go to buylocaltampabay.com, there's like 1,300 or 1,400 unique items on sale. She just told me today there's been a total of over 775 sales so far on the website, and Esther does not get one penny of it right now. So everything goes to the business owner. The only fee is through PayPal. So real quick, Jo-Anne, I want to thank, first off, you for being on there, but I also want to thank some of the sponsors who are helping Esther out with some of the costs. Rescreen Rescue, Citywide Self, Storage and Commercial Services, photographer Taylor Rabo, I always get the name wrong, I'm so sorry. Next Home South Point, Alligator Attraction at John Pass, Storyteller Coffee, and today a new one. Thank you to the City of St. Pete Beach for helping out Esther, and buylocaltampabay.com. So we want to get that $1 million going. $20 a person, 50,000 people get on the site. There's your $1 million right there. So it's looking good. So we want to thank you for that. Jo-Anne, again, we covered how people can get a hold of you, the website, historicshed.com, your phone number, Facebook. Now I have to throw you a little low-down curveball question. You ready?
No.
Ah! So I know you have a beautiful family, husband. Is it 2 boys? What's the family?
No. 1 son, 1 daughter.
1 son, 1 daughter. Fantastic. It's a Sunday night, 5, 6 o'clock. There's no work to be done. What is the Sunday or the traditional Sunday meal consist of at the Peck residence?
Popcorn.
What do you need, fiber in your diet?
Well, a lot of times Sunday nights, I'm tired and we just decide we're going to have family movie night. And so I make popcorn with apples and cheddar cheese stuck in it, and everybody likes that.
How do you put apples in the popcorn? You mean like slice, like you dice them up and you?
It's surprisingly good.
I've never had that.
You might want to try it. Yeah.
I've drizzled vodka on mine, but that's a problem I have, and it's a whole different story. So
and then it whizzles up. I can't imagine that. It looks very attractive.
Well, I chase it with the Jack Daniels. But no, that is, so you do popcorn at a movie night on a Sunday. Folks, if Jo-Anne Peck isn't one of the most wholesome people you ever heard, she eats popcorn on Sunday nights with the family, and she will sell you a great shed. Just give her a shout. She's in Brooksville, Florida. Jo-Anne Peck, finally, it's been great to talk with you. Thank you so much for hanging out with me, and I'll see you this year, and especially, hopefully, at the Tiny Home Festival coming up later this year, okay?
Okay, I'm looking forward to it. And thank you so much. This has been fun.
It's been a blast. And my name is Pat Largo, and thank you for checking out the Local Shops 1 Lowdown. We'll see you next time.